Hello, this is Jim Lanz, Safety Specialist and OSHA Outreach Instructor at Horizon Solutions. Welcome to today's webinar, Facility and Products Identification and Increasing Plant Safety Through Brady Visuals and Services. Joining me today are presenters Mike Ellis and Daniel Johnston from Brady ID. We have a large audience joining us for this webinar today, so all attendees will be muted. This webinar will be recorded and made available to attendees tomorrow. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please submit them via the Q&A controls in the Zoom panel. We will address all questions submitted at the conclusion of the webinar presentation. And again, I thank you for joining Horizon Solutions at today's webinar. I will turn it over to Mike and Daniel. Mike, it is all yours.
Jim, thank you. Before I go too far down the road, can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay, good. Daniel and I want to first thank you and the Horizon Solutions team for everything you've done to make these informative webinars possible. I also want to take the time to thank everyone that has jumped on. We'd like to do a good job of kind of helping you today navigate your way through the world of plant safety through the use of visuals and services. Excuse me. Obviously the last 4 to 5 months have been, crazy, even life-changing. The need for creating that visual atmosphere as you all have opened your facilities or are still in the process of opening your facilities has really become of paramount importance. We will spend the first few minutes of our presentation today going over coronavirus or COVID-specific options for you. But we also want to take some time as we move forward to talk about some other visuals and services that can help you increase plant safety as you move forward. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Jim may have touched on this on how to ask questions, but if you do have questions throughout the webinar, just kind of please submit them via the Q&A. We'll address as many as we can at the end of today. Our agenda today looks a little bit like this. As I said, we're going to concentrate on current needs. Again, you're all at different stages of reopening. Some of you may have already full-blown reopened. Some of you may be at 50% capacity. But unfortunately, I think this pandemic is here to stay for a little bit. So we do feel that it's important to go over specific signage and floor marking options for you. We do want to go over our custom on-demand printing options as well. We're going to have a live demonstration with Daniel Johnston. We'll move from there to visual-based services, which will include Lockout Tagout, as well as Arc Flash. And then we'll end up with just a brief touch on slips, trips, and falls, and how to create really a visual atmosphere with the use of sorbents in your facility. And then obviously at the end, we'll go over a few key takeaways before we go into question and answer session. For those of you that were on Horizon Solutions presentation last month with Jim Lanz, titled Returning to a Safe Workplace, Jim did a great job of really hitting on the need for creating that visual atmosphere through the use of signs and floor marking messages. He really heavily relied on CDC and OSHA guidelines that are out in the workplace now. We at Brady specifically kind of took a deeper dive and we went through the OSHA guidelines and within their planning, they talk about developing an infectious disease and preparedness response plan, as well as looking to prepare to implement basic infection prevention measures. And there were 4 key takeaways that we really tried to keep in mind when coming up with our messaging. We used that from the OSHA guidelines, and we used a lot of the CDC guidelines. We looked to really create our messaging around promoting frequent, thorough hand washing. B, encouraging workers to stay home if they're sick. C, you start to look at encouraging respiratory etiquette. That includes covering coughs and sneezes and includes wearing masks. And then lastly, we really try to hit on, establishing policies and practices, and really that is in regard to social distancing, creating a workflow. I want to say a workflow, but more of a flow on how employees need to move through your facilities while this pandemic pandemic is going. So as we kind of move into our specific offering, we've now got over 100 SKUs available, and these are, you know, off the shelf, ready to go signs that Horizon Solutions can offer you. These SKUs have different messages, materials, and sizes. They're available in English options, bilingual, and Spanish as well. We do have a very large custom department that can help you with fully customized options and, you know, and or messaging. And then we get into floor marking as well. So that you know, obviously starts to you know, think about, you know, all of those floor markings that we've seen in supermarkets and everywhere we've gone over the last, you know, number of months. So we've got, you know, specific to the virus, and then we'll talk about standard taped options as well. These are just some of the, you know, sign messages that we've come out with. You know, you notice on the top row, you know, we've got a wide variety of messages: prevent the spread, you know, the germ stops here. If you kind of get down toward the bottom row, that's where you start to look at floor markings. You know, thank you for practicing social distancing. You know, again, we'll have that available in Spanish and bilingual as well. We've also come out with a couple of helpful resources. And what I mean by this, we've got a sign audit tool and we've got an area marking solutions guide. The sign audit tool is actually something that we've updated. The original idea behind the sign audit tool was to work with you, the customer, in making sure that your facility is visually compliant with OSHA standards. Now, obviously, since the pandemic started, we've updated that to reflect CDC guidelines, you know, very specific to coronavirus. So what this does, it's a guideline, or it's a guide that really takes you through the workplace, takes you through different areas of your facility with a specific checklist. It gives you different choices, you know, of different signs for different areas. If you happen to look here, you'll see some of the pictures of, you know, some of the ideas that you can get, you know, reception counters, restrooms, you know, common areas, you know, hallways and aisleways and so forth. The difference with the area marking solutions guide is it's meant for a wider variety than just industrial settings. You know, you start to think about restaurants, you start to think about commercial settings, you start to think about retail settings. That's where the area marking solutions guide can help. But at the same time, if you take a look at these pictures, both of these checklists are meant to help you walk through your facility and identify the best message and or floor marking idea for each location. Another area of visual identification that we'd like to be able to help you with is floor marking tape. Brady has a branded floor marking tape that we call Tough Stripe. It's ideal for, you know, marking aisles and passageways, you know, storage locations, important safety equipment, egress paths, etc. Some of the features of the product will include superior durability versus some of our competitive brands out there. A very easy application. We've got a very high visibility with our tapes. They don't fade out as quickly as some other brands. You'll see that we have clean removal versus some other brands. Oftentimes a complaint of removing floor marking tapes is it leaves a very strong residue that takes quite some time to clean up. While ours will still leave a residue, it won't take you as long to clean up versus other brands. If you look on the bottom of this page, you start to notice that our floor marking tapes are available in different shapes and forms. You know, we've got those available in floor signs, floor marking in die cut shapes, you know, reflective versions, anti-slip tapes, glow in the dark. We do have a newer version out on the market, which is called Tough Stripe Max, and it's meant for very, very, I guess, very abusive applications. If you look at that picture on the left of the forklift truck, the Tough Stripe Max is developed with a beveled edge so that it keeps from ripping the tape as you know, fork trucks and other you know, vehicles roll over these materials. Jim, that leads us to, I guess, our first polling question.
Terrific, Mike. Great job so far. Our first polling question came up as, what is the key benefit and attribute of a visual workplace? It improves the workplace ambiance. It creates a regular reminder of the best safety practices. It can cover the floor and wall damage, and tapes can provide a non-slip surface. So far, we've been loading heavily here towards what I believe to be the correct answer. And we'll give it another moment.
Well, Jim,
And
it looks
we
like,
have, yeah, you got it.
pretty unanimous there, right?
100% unanimous with the correct answer. It creates a regular reminder of the best safety practices. Thank you all for participating in our first poll.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about a regular reminder of best safety practices. You know, floor tapes have such a wide variety of uses. You start to think about lean and 5S applications as you know, these managers start to change, you know, the direction of workflow. If you start to think about, you know, areas that are off limits to walking traffic, this is where, you know, the floor marking tape really does a great job in helping you create that visual atmosphere. So.
Terrific.
I'm going to see if I can get rid of that.
There we go.
Can you all still see my screen there? As I move on to our safety and facility identification printers, everyone, this is going to offer you a do-it-yourself option. For those of you that really don't have time to wait for you know, off-the-shelf signs or having custom signs made by a sign provider, printers go a long way in helping you with that need to basically get it done right then and there. We offer a wide variety of you know, printers ranging anywhere from 1/2 inch to 10-inch high labels or wide labels. So we've got a wide variety of sizes. We've got a wide variety of color options. We offer printers in monocolor, multicolor. We even go up to full-blown color with our inkjet versions. You know, if used in conjunction with our software programs, you can actually download pictures and so forth. So wide variety of our printers. Daniel Johnston is going to give a live demonstration of one of our better, you know, I'd say one of our more known printers here in just a couple of minutes. Again, how some of these systems can benefit you. I just talked about, you know, printing on the spot, no waiting. There's a huge cost savings associated with using one of our on-demand printers. You can average anywhere from 40 to 80% cost savings from, you know, purchased and or custom signs. We do have a wide variety of material that can be used with our printers. I do like to touch on one which is called Tough Wash, and it's meant specifically for the food and beverage industry. It's a material that was made to really, you know, kind of withstand the very abusive wash down cycles or high heat cycles in food and beverage applications. It's also metal detectable, which is very important for, you know, if it happens to get into whatever food and beverage you're manufacturing. Our materials are very durable with an 8 to 10 year outdoor durability with some of our vinyls. And as I had spoken about, Daniel's in just a moment is going to give this live demonstration. Our printers are very easy to use. Obviously, who's going to be using these systems in your facility? You've got safety managers, you've got environmental health and safety teams as well. You've got maintenance teams, and then you've got lean 5S teams. Everyone within these respective departments will have you know, consistent, you know, requirements to use these printers. Some of the applications, and I want to point out here, you know, we're talking about, you know, increasing plant safety with visuals. So I feel I'd be remiss in not putting a lot of these visuals on this page for you. So, you know, as we go through the next couple pages, I just wanted to have you get a feel for how versatile, you know, I guess the wide variety of messages you can use these printers for. You've got general identification. You know, obviously you can look at parts marking, equipment labeling, directional marking. if you've got safety applications, you've got OSHA considerations, arc flash identification, as well as fire identification. Some other applications would include, hazardous material. This has become a hot button in the last number of years. You're able to use our printers for JHS labeling, right to know, IMDG, which is kind of a maritime standard, as well as some different options you see in these pictures for pipe marking. This is all do-it-yourself. Some other applications would include Lean 5S. Lean 5S teams and managers, oftentimes will look at using these units for lockout tags, floor marking, rack labeling, gauge labeling, parts identification, everything that you can see here. If we can help that workflow, if we can help the work processes become that much more productive, these printers are a great option for you. And now we get to our live printer demo with Daniel Johnston. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here momentarily, and you'll have just a delay while Daniel kind of sets his up.
Thanks, Mike. Switching the screen now, so if you could please just confirm that you're seeing the printer in front of me and you can hear me all right, I'll get going.
Daniel, I can.
Okay, fantastic.
Looks good, Daniel. Thank you.
Yep. So as Mike has alluded to through the beginning of this presentation, a visual workplace is crucial to not only compliance, but the safety of your employees as well as the products that you create. And again, as Mike mentioned before, Brady offers a very wide variety of on-demand printing solutions, whether that be portable printing, benchtop printing like you see in front of you here, as well as inkjet solutions for colored options. The printer I'll be going over for you today is going to be our BBP37. This printer offers our widest variety of capabilities, from multicolor to die cuts to a 1/2 inch to 4 inch width print option. The printer itself is extremely easy to use, extremely intuitive, and can help you create these visual markers, labels, and cues extremely quickly and at your point of need. The printer itself offers a full touchscreen and keyboard, and as easy as you can see here, it just says touch to type. That's all you need to do to start creating these labels, signs, and various markers. So with that said, I can touch here. I can just start typing. I can shrink this text. I can blow it up. This printer also offers auto sizing, so as you see, I just hit the enter button and I can start typing below it, and it will adjust for you on the fly, so you don't have to worry about calibration at each point. You don't have to worry about creating a label with text or images that won't fit. It all is here and will do it for you. All of our materials come on self-contained cartridges that are exclusive to Brady. They all offer a smart chip that can be seen here, which basically allows the materials to talk to not only the printer, but the associated software that can be utilized with the systems. Our printers offer a thermal transfer printing option, which essentially means that the image, text, and graphics get burned onto the label itself, which offers a much better durability, longevity, and offers that solution for the most extreme environments they might be exposed to. Loading and unloading of the printer is extremely easy and allows for material changeovers to happen quickly, so you don't see any downtime in your production. I'm going to be doing this one-handed, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of an indicator of how quickly and easily this can be done at your facility or at the point of use for this printer. The labels themselves all come on this cartridge. They drop directly into the label printer. At this point, we just put the duster over, removes any debris or anything that might affect the print head, and then the ribbon itself comes right onto here, which is the print head, clicks in, and then shuts just like that. Like I mentioned, the printer itself does auto-calibrate, so there's no guesswork in the labels that have been put in or being used. And they actually give you live indicators at the bottom here of how much material is left over. So if you're looking at a larger print job, whether that be a large amount of pipe markers, safety labels, tags, etc., you'll have a live inventory of the labels you're trying to create. In addition to the custom creation tool that you can see here, we also have quite a few different label types and applications that are preloaded to this unit. As you can see here, you can create pipe markers on the fly, lockout tags, arc flash labels, circle gauge, so if you're doing any lean manufacturing, gauge identification, or anything along those lines, can easily be created here. GHS as well as right to know for all of your chemical identification. We even have general templates here that can help with formatting. So as I switch to signs with headers, text only, even barcodes that can help with your inventory management. Finally, we actually have a nice tool here with pre-made labels. So it even takes a lot of the work out here depending on what you're looking to create, whether that's admittance for confined space, conduit and voltage labels as I switch to here, even graphics and mandatory identification. All can be created extremely easily and at the touch of your finger. Our printers do have an internal memory as well, so as you're creating these labels, anything that you've created in the past you can save. And as some examples I have here to show you, here's a great example of how we can utilize the cut feature on this printer to use a smaller piece of label to maximize your material usage, but you can actually cut out, and as I peel this away, smaller pipe markers that can be used at any point in your facility. In addition, this printer also offers a multicolor feature. As you know, the environments and safety and manufacturing are moving closer to visual cues. So what better way to do that with color and bold text that your employees can see and adhere to. In addition, these printers are also fantastic for creating social distancing labels for your facility, any place you might need them or any areas you might want to help utilize them. And we also offer a very wide variety of materials, whether that be tags, like Mike mentioned, for food and beverage industries for our tough wash, magnetic, even repositionable. So if you're doing inventory management and changeover, you don't have to worry about those labels, being too sticky, I guess you could say, and not being able to get off. With that said, all of that creation and possibilities are right here at your fingertips, and given the ability to create and help maintain, grow, and develop and standardize your facility identification needs for the future. With that, I'll pass this back to Mike to continue with the presentation, but any questions you might have about this printer, feel free to type it into the Q&A box. Otherwise, if you're interested in learning more about these print-on-demand solutions, please feel free to reach out to your Horizon rep, and they'll contact us to help get you some more information. So again, with that, I will pass this back over to Mike to continue with the presentation.
Daniel, thank you. I just want to make sure that you all can see my screen here momentarily. Daniel or Jim, can you see my screen now?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay,
Yep,
good. Daniel, again, thank you. Great job there. So as we move forward in today's idea of creating that visual atmosphere, we're moving on to safety services. Specifically now, I'll talk a little bit about Lockout Tagout. I would imagine that most everyone on the call is very familiar with Lockout Tagout, but just go over a few things about this. Obviously, it's OSHA mandated. I've paraphrased here, but Lockout Tagout refers to the control of hazardous energy. The standard addresses the practices and procedures that are necessary to disable machinery or equipment, thereby preventing the release of hazardous energy, right? That's while your employees are servicing, performing maintenance activities. Lockout Tagout is consistently, it's in 4th to 6th most cited violation. I believe it was the 5th most cited violation in 2019. And a lot of these violations, top violations, are going to, I guess they're going to be talking about requirements for general procedures or lack thereof, a lack of program requirements, a lot of times a lack of inspection procedures, I've seen that companies don't have inspection procedures properly documented, or they're not inspecting. It's due once a year to inspect your current procedures, and a lot of times that's going to fall through, kind of fall by the wayside. Training requirements is also one area that you'll see a lot of violations involve training. Are you training your employees, both affected and authorized? And what I mean by that, an authorized employee is someone in your maintenance department that is actually trained and authorized to work on that equipment, and an affected employee refers to your machine operator. So oftentimes training requirements are lacking there. When you kind of add all of these up, surprisingly, more than 50% of companies are not fully compliant when it comes to lockout tagout. So as we move on, give me 1 second here. As we move on, there are 6 essential elements of what we consider to be a compliant or a robust lockout tagout program. And for any of you though out there now that are heavily involved with this program at your facility, start to think about these 6 elements as I go through them. Number 1, you look at program and policy, and what that is, it's basically your outline. It's your document that is going to state your purpose and scope of your program. Things like equipment that's covered under the program will be talked about in this document. You'll identify authorized personnel, etc., within this document. You move on to machine-specific procedures. You have to ask yourself, well, do we have them? If we have them, are they documented, or are they readily available? I've heard of stories of companies being fined or dinged for having the documentation, but it's not available. It could be 2 buildings over. It could be in a manager's office who happens to not be on site that day. So OSHA is going to look, they're going to frown upon that. If you move on to identification and marking of energy isolation points, on the right-hand side of the screen here, this picture reflects an actual document that we use when we do visual lockout tagout procedures. If you look here at these lockout points, you can see that they're very easily identified. You've got the picture above, it's going to point out, your E1 and your W1, so your electrical, your water, and your gas, energy points, and it's going to identify and mark those points. Oftentimes, customers don't have those points properly identified, and Brady and Horizon Solutions together, we look to make that a very visual process for you. Training and periodic inspections and/or audits are another element that's very important. You've got to keep your employees trained, and you've got to have periodic inspections of the procedures and so forth. Then you ask yourself, do you have proper lockout devices? You may have developed your program and policies 10 to 15 years ago, and at the time you had the proper locks and/or devices that were recommended that would keep you compliant. But obviously over time those devices get lost. They disappear from the facility. So part of that essential element is lockout devices. And lastly, sustainability, and I think it's the most important. And really what we're talking about is, how do you bring all of these previous elements together? How do you manage your program properly? How do you make sure that you're managing your procedures, how you're going to run your reports, to track your audits and/or training? How do you keep track of those inspections? And Brady offers a Link 360 software program. It's a cloud-based program that really allows you to maximize all of these elements, put them in one organized place and they're easily accessed. How does a lockout tagout program benefit you? This first bullet point is very general, but you start to think about it in terms of saved lives. Lockout tagout, annually will prevent an estimated 250,000 incidents. Looking at preventing 50,000 injuries and roughly 120 fatalities. If we narrow this down to how it really affects you at your facility, we're looking at reducing costs and improving productivity. Reducing costs significantly, is going to, having that program in place is going to decrease lost employee time, as well as insurance costs and potential fines. And obviously, productivity is going to increase tenfold as you're going to reduce that equipment downtime. Options available to you through Horizon Solutions and Brady. We work with you on program development. So think about if you don't have a very developed program, we come in and write procedures for you. We start to help you with those, trainings. We start to help you with, planning out, inspections and so forth. We help you with gap analysis, where an electrical engineer comes on site and identifies any weak points in a current program. Those procedure audits, or what I like to call compliance reviews, they are required, I believe, every 3 years. So that is something that we can help you with as well. We can also help you with training for both authorized and affected employees. And then again, that visual procedure writing that I had spoken about. If you look in the right-hand side, this picture, that is that Link 360 visual procedure that I had spoken about. And when our engineers come on site, identify the procedures, write the reports, these will be posted on each piece of machinery that has a lockout tagout procedure. Polling question number 2 we're at. Moving along quickly.
Very good. Let's bring up polling question number 2. And the question is, why is a robust lockout tagout program critical to workplace safety? It helps to avoid OSHA citations.
Hey, Jim, if you don't mind, I can't see the...
Sorry.
Yep.
There we
Perfect.
go. All right. And we'll go back. Why is a robust lockout tagout program critical to workplace safety? It helps to avoid OSHA citations. It saves on workmen's compensation insurance costs. It can save lives and reduce injuries. And it provides visual procedures. All of the above. And already we've got a bunch of answers coming in, all hitting, again, the correct answer. A robust lockout tagout program is critical for all of those reasons.
Perfect. Good choices, everyone. Again, if you start to think about those 6 essential elements, if you find yourself lacking in any of those, certainly reach out to your Horizon Solutions rep, and we'll schedule a time to come out and do an assessment for you. So let me get out of this if I could. So as we move on to another visual safety service that we offer, and what really has become a hot button topic in the last 5 to 10 years, is arc flash. You can see arc flash is a short circuit through the air. If you look at these pictures, it's a short circuit that's going to flash from one live conductor to another, or ground. It's going to create a dangerous release of live energy. Arc flash is currently governed by OSHA and NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, I believe. And what the NFPA is going to look for in what they want to see in an arc flash program is they want to make sure that you all are training your employees. They're looking for a written program that's in place that is actionable. They're looking to make sure that the proper PPE and insulated tools are available. They're looking to make sure that arc flash hazard degree calculations have been performed, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. And then they're looking to make sure that equipment is properly labeled. So as you start to think about any piece of equipment in your facility that can cause a short circuit, if you're not seeing those labels, arc flash labels on there, know that you're not compliant at this point. So it might be good to bring someone in to visit that with you. Solution options from Horizon Solutions really run from risk assessment to audit compliance review to training solutions. A risk assessment is where an electrical engineer is going to come to your facility. They're going to compile the data for arc flash calculations. They're going to create. This is where they're going to create a single line diagram. Ultimately write out a report and write and install those labels for you. This is also where they're going to talk about, recommended PPE and insulated tools. Every time we do a arc flash review for you, these are the things that we're going to do during the risk assessment phase. You look at audit compliance review, Horizon Solutions, and we're able to come help you with that. They're required on a 5-year cycle. This is where we'll take a look at current and any past assessments, where the goal really is to provide identification, or is really to identify any safety issues or needed improvements. Also, we've got training solutions as well. They'll run the gamut from refresher training to qualified, person training, all the way up to train the trainer. Moving on from visual-based services, still talking about visual-based products, I wanted to very quickly hit on sorbents and creating visual alerts within your facility. Obviously, OSHA requires, walking or working surfaces that are free of debris and or slips, trips, and falls, the potential for those. They also reference general requirements for spill prevention, control and countermeasure plans, as well as emergency response. And that's where sorbents, polypropylene sorbents are specifically mentioned within OSHA compliance. A couple of benefits to you: could be less costly. If you're still using a clay-based product at your facility, it gets to be very expensive, especially if you're paying for removal on that. Sorbents can drive a cost savings there. Also, sorbents will add to health and safety at the facility. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but the silica dust within clay-based sorbents is a known carcinogen. They've researched in the last 3 years, they've kind of let it be known that they're researching COPD issues, kidney issues. So if you've got employees at your facility that are facing overexposure to that silica dust, sorbents may be a good option for you. But more specifically, I want to talk about creating that visual alert. Obviously, if you look at these pictures, you're going to see different color sorbents. They're going to be available in pads and rolls and socks and mats and spill kits. I do want to hit on those different colors. When you generally see an oil-only pad, it's going to be white, and oil-only kind of speaks for itself. It will kind of reject any other liquid other than oil. So if you've got water, if you've got acids, bases, anything other than that, it's going to reject. That point, you want to move toward a universal pad, and universal will accept all of those liquids, as I spoke about. It generally comes in a gray form that you see in this picture to the right. Oftentimes, safety managers don't like to see that gray universal pad on the floor with that gray, on that gray floor. There is no contrast there. Sometimes they feel like that is still a slip, trip, or a fall hazard. So that's where you start to look at some of the different colors that I had mentioned in here. We call it bright sorb, or we call it a hazmat material. So you start to see these greens and or yellows. What they are is a visual alert for you concerning your sorbent program. They are universal in nature, so they'll still accept all of those materials or liquids that I had spoken about. But your added benefit now is a very clear contrast to a gray industrial floor. A couple of must-haves in any, really OSHA compliant program. You've got to have emergency spill kits, and you've got to have inventory stock for everyday usage. And what I mean by this is I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a facility doing an on-site survey, which is one of the options that you have below there, and gone to open up spill kits and they're empty. It might be a Coke can in the bottom. There might be trash and debris in there. There is not a sorbent to be found. And what that means is you've got companies that have a need for everyday usage concerning sorbents. They're robbing their spill kits to meet that need. So when you start to look at your program, know that you need inventory stock for everyday usage. Your emergency spill kits, you don't want to touch those. They are there for an emergency only, okay? Did want to clarify that. And then obviously we're always available. Your Horizon Solution team, as well as Brady territory managers, are always available to come in and do an on-site survey for you. We can develop a program that helps you with inventoried and emergency spill kits. So as we reach the end here, a few key takeaways for you to think about as you go back to work or start to think about your facilities. We've offer a wide variety of COVID-specific options. I do want to mention that if you think about your facility in terms of non-coronavirus, we do have a wide variety of signs that are OSHA compliant that we can help you with there as well. We offer guidance in creating that visual distance and safety reminders, again, with those sign audit tool that I had spoken about and that area marking solutions guide. That handy dandy little checklist is great for you all to do it yourself. We offer our do-it-yourself printing options, right? If you want to save time, if you've got a big need for creating custom signs on your own, we've got printing options that will help you enhance safety visually. We've got fully turnkey lockout tagout options. We can take you from starting that program at the grassroots all the way up to, providing you with visual procedures and helping you manage those programs. We've got added safety with arc flash requirements. And then we finish with we're able to assist you with OSHA spill control preparedness. I know that, I moved quickly through this, and I know that we don't have a lot of time. We just wanted to give you a high level kind of overview on how we can help you increase plant safety. So with that, we'll open it up for any questions at this time. Daniel and I, again, thank you for your attention today.
Thank you, Mike. This is Jim Lanz again. We did receive a couple of questions through the Q&A process here. The first one came in quite a while back while we were doing the printer demo. And the question is, I have an older Brady printer that is not supported anymore. I can't purchase tape or ribbon for it. What can I do?
Yeah, and this is Daniel Johnston, and I'll hop in and take that question. Brady is currently offering a trade-up promotion that we're partnering with Horizon Solutions on. With that said, what you'd receive is a new Brady printer, or with the purchase of a new Brady printer, you receive up to $1,500 in free materials, as well as software. So we have great transition programs that not only Horizon Solution representative and Brady representative can assist you in that transition.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dan. Another question rolled in, and it's regarding the sorbents. It says, where are your absorbent pads made?
Actually, they're U.S. made. So everything that we manufacture is manufactured in Louisville, Kentucky. We've got a plant there. And that actually includes our raw materials, which are sourced out of Houston, Texas. So U.S. made.
Oh, very good. Very good. And along the same line, attendee wants to know, do you make custom spill kits?
Actually, that's a good question. We do. We've got a variety of off-the-shelf options, but customers come to us quite a bit. We have the ability to make it with the amount of spill material that you want in it, make it with the I guess your chosen PPE that you'd like to have in it, and we'll make it in the I guess the bucket or holder, implement of your choice. So we do have that. Sorry.
Fantastic. Another one came in regarding signage, and the question is it okay to use your signs outside, and what's the durability? How long will they last?
Yep, and I'll take that one. So we do have quite a few stock sign offerings that come in a variety of different materials and sizes. Typically what you'll see for on the low end, our outdoor signs, roughly about 5 years based on just kind of general outdoor durability, but we also have materials that can last up to 25. In addition, if you were looking at a on-demand printing solution, our materials through those can last typically up to 10 years. So very, very good and general outdoor durability, wear and tear, and they, like I said, they come in a variety of different stock sizes, materials, and do-it-yourself options.
Very good, Dan. Thank you. Um, Here's another one. This is my kind of question here. We work on a lot of low voltage circuits and equipment. Do we need to worry about arc flash?
Jim, do you know the answer to that question?
I think we do need to worry about arc flash
Uh,
at anything over 50 volts, according to OSHA.
Good answer. That's exactly what I would have answered.
Yeah. And you know, there are low voltage circuits that have high amperage also that could pose a hazard. All right, let's move on. What's the largest width the printers can work on? What can they do width-wise?
Yep, largest width that you can create through our printers will be up to 10 inches. You know, please keep in mind that we offer a variety of different printers that come through a variety of different widths. So through our portables on the small end, you can do 1/4 inch up to 2, and then on our bench tops, you can create anything from 1/2 inch to up to 10 inches, depending on the model you look at.
Wow, very good. And then finally, I have one more here, and it says, what is the approximate lead time for your COVID-19 signs and floor markings at this point?
Yep, and I'll field that one as well. At the moment, all of our stock signs, as you could imagine, there was a great influx of demand, you know, when the pandemic first, you know, broke out. But, you know, at the moment, for any of our stock materials, we are looking at about a 3 to 5 day lead time from the time of order. Again, keeping in mind that we do offer custom signage that can be, you know, pre-printed for you here, and we're looking at anywhere from about a 7 to 10 day lead time from time of order for customs.
Outstanding. Very good. We have one more question just rolled in. Does Brady offer a printer that talks Ethernet to programmable logic controllers?
Yeah, so we do offer a few printing varieties that can be connected through Ethernet, network, and Wi-Fi, and then those can actually be triggered through systems, you know, that can, you know, create or print labels or send outputs to any internal CRM, ERP, logistics systems. The thing I would say in regards to that is, you know, definitely if that is something you're looking for, please connect with your Horizon rep, and they'll certainly loop in, you know, the Brady representative who covers your area, because it's something we'll want to make sure that we can, you know, help create a smooth process for you, and you know, make sure that it's working to what you need.
Very good. Thanks, Dan. Mark answered there. And I think that's what we have for questions at this point. We'll leave our screen open for a little while here, and should anyone have other questions, feel free to ask. If we can't get to them live today, we will certainly respond within a day or so. I want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. I think both Mike and Dan did an outstanding job in presenting Visual Workplace.
Jim, thank you again, and thank everyone for attending today.
Yep, and thank you as well.
Thanks, guys.